Missions Pulse. Know God's heart, join His mission.
You keep saying, alluding to this, the simple plan. All-knowing God uses very feeble mankind, but He has a simple plan. Can you just concisely, what is that simple plan then?
Yeah.
I mean, you get me going, and I'm almost there. I'm like, well,
Oh, yeah.
I'm tracking with you, but I'm wondering if there's people who are thinking, wow, this sounds exciting. Yes, I want to be one of those whom God uses. What's the simple plan? How do I do this? How does multiplication take place? Yeah. What are we missing to fulfill the Great Commission? That's a loaded question, I know.
It's so simple. Yeah. It's simple. Why?
Okay.
The first original disciples of Jesus were rural folks who did not finish high school.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, except for Matthew and Judas, who had accounting majors in University of Jerusalem, most probably. But the rest are just plain fishermen, perhaps shepherds or carpenters like him, who now volunteered to say, yeah, Jesus, you want us to follow you? We'll try you. Okay? Seeing that you are a very good friend, you did excellent work with your carpentry work, and so he picked them up.
Yes.
To be his 12.
You're making the gospel very human to me right now.
Oh, yeah,
The
I
way,
have to.
Yes, but we don't often talk about
We have
Jesus
to tell
like that.
every missionary, wherever you go, think of finding 12. But you don't need to have 12. You just need 3, Peter, James, and John, as your best friend.
Yeah.
And then tell them to take care of 3 best friends. And so 3 plus 9 equals 12.
Yeah.
So you just have to nurture 3 good disciples and your own. And now if you go to the village now, 2 by 2, you disciple 1 person, so you're 3. And that this 1 person we call the man of peace. This will come back when we come to Luke chapter 10. Then this person now will be the one to collect 12. And so if you can have 12 in every village, you've finished the job.
Yes.
Disciple that person there. This 1 person to have a set of 12 with him. You've done your job. Now, in every community, now, who know how to lead the community and facilitate it, to have a common verse and etc., which will come back later. But very important now, let me show how simple it is.
Okay, yes.
I'm just saying the first part. My proof is Jesus recruited simple provincial people, not hardly university graduates. And he was coming out of Nazareth and not out of Jerusalem or out of Rome or Antioch or Alexandria. So here is and these are people who are going to shake the world and disciple all nations.
Yeah.
So imagine Peter, James, and John listening to Jesus on the mountain of Ascension and being told, hey guys, you do that job. But the good news is now Jesus tells them, go back to Jerusalem, wait for 10 days actually, and then when the Holy Spirit comes, He'll give you power to shake the nations from Jerusalem to Judea, Samaria, and to the ends of the earth. So here you have a confidence building already on these disciples. They know what they're supposed to do because when He told them, go and make disciples, they have not only seen it in Jesus, and if I have time, I will show you how Jesus was doing it, but I'll concentrate first on what He taught them what to do. And my favorite text is Luke chapter 10 because I think it has the simplest outline to what I normally train our ordinary college graduates or to become nurses or English teachers and whatever in other lands. Or if they have no university diplomas, to go in as cooks, as waiters, as caregivers, even as domestic helpers to shake Hong Kong or Singapore, etc. But let me backtrack now to what Jesus trained His disciples to do, how He trained them how to do. The first one is to challenge them to pray and to pray the Lord of harvest to send out more workers. So the problem is not the harvest. The harvest field is ripe. The harvest field, the people have a vacuum in their hearts. So they have to assume that the Holy Spirit has one job description among the unreached. And His job description is John chapter 16, verses 8 to 11, he convicts the world of sin, of righteousness, and judgment. You do not need to tell people you are a sinner. The Holy Spirit already has done that. There is a vacuum in people's hearts that know that the solution to the problems in their life, they're empty without finding that. And so they're searching.
Yes.
Now, sometimes they don't know they are searching. And sometimes they don't even know that their search has to find its answer only in Jesus. But that vacuum is there. And the conviction of sin and the conscience in the righteousness, that they need to seek after righteousness, and that someday they will have a judgment upon their death, is part of the human image of God in them. That sin is there. Now, that's the work of the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And in Acts chapter 2, in the opening sermon that Peter preached, that the Holy Spirit now is poured out upon all flesh, not upon all Christians or upon those who are elect, not just upon the sheep, but really upon all the wolves in the sheep.
Wow.
The Holy Spirit has been poured out. And so the Holy Spirit is at work in the world today, preparing the ground for a ripe harvest. So the problem of God is not having the harvest, because the Holy Spirit has already prepared the ground. The problem is how to have workers to reap that harvest. And so he tells the 72 to pray. Now, how many of those 72 answered that prayer? Lord, send out workers into Iran or into China or into Afghanistan. Well, thank God, all the 72 who prayed for the Lord to send out more workers were exactly the same ones who had to answer, let it be me. Here I am, send me.
We are
So it
often
is
the
dangerous
answer to-
to pray for missions and to pray for specific countries, because God will ask you, who shall I send?
The follow-up question, pray therefore the Lord send harvesters into his harvest fields. You might be the answer to that prayer,
You
my friend.
are.
You are the answer.
And don't worry, because if you follow now the instructions of Jesus on how to do it, it's so simple. Now, you may say, oh, wow, okay, I've got your attention now. Huh? That's good. Yeah, because...
I'm leaning in.
Yeah. And that's verse 2. He says, you pray for the Lord of harvest. And then he says, go. So in other words, now these people who pray, maybe they didn't know what they're praying for, but this is how it says, okay, you prayed for Iran, okay, go to Iran. And then you go. Now, once you go, he tells you, I'm sending you like lambs among wolves. So he warns them that be careful, because you have to become wise as serpents. In Matthew 10, he would include be wise as serpents. But it shows that this warning is not a real threat, because you're not going to be hurt unless your time to die is there. But all the 72 who went out came back alive in verse 17. So don't worry. I'm telling you, it's safe to go to Iran. It's safe to go to Afghanistan if God calls you to go there.
Amen.
Because God will be ahead of you. The Holy Spirit is preparing the ground ahead of you. So if you're praying for Afghanistan, that means God has prepared you to go there. Now, having warned them that you're being lambs among wolves, they came back. I told you a while ago that they were able to transform these wolves to lambs.
Yes.
And let me quickly give an example of how Jesus did it in Jericho. When he went to Jericho, nobody welcomed him. No, I should use Jericho as an example later on.
Okay.
When I come to what are the step-by-step, the procedures that Jesus instructed his disciples to do so that they can effectively win entire villages for his name's sake, for the glory of God. Now, he gives them, then, from verses 4 to verse 9, he gives them 3 instructions that if we all follow it, and give these 3 instructions with letter S. Go simply. That's the first one.
Okay.
Because in verse 4 he says, when you go, don't bring a purse, don't bring a luggage, and don't bring a second pair of shoes. Are you ready for that? I hope you Westerners or even Filipinos struggle with that.
Hey, no, come on. It's okay to call out Westerners because I pick people up at the airport all the time, and my car never has enough space when I pick up the Americans. But now, when I pick up Chinese,
you can tell people,
it's
follow
true.
the instructions of Jesus. Once you go into the field,
make it simple.
Don't bring extra luggage. Why? Well, normally in my classroom lectures, I would give about 15 minutes at least to discuss the disadvantages of appearing rich or bringing resources into the community. The number one problem is the community now expects you to share. Now, if you don't share what you have, then you're in trouble. They will look at you as stingy and somebody who doesn't really care. So that's and for those who have a criminal mind, you're a target for robbery.
A lot of nuances that don't even come into play or into mind when you bring those things.
But that's personal, that's secondary.
Okay.
The real problem is once you go in with extra resources, you will not be depending on the people and to bond with them.
Short-term missionary teams going into a community to depend upon the locals. This is not something I often hear about.
That is something you need to hear about. Because here now, Jesus now tells them, don't create dependency.
Yes.
That they are going to depend on your resources.
Yeah.
When I send people as English teachers to some contexts, I would have to tell them, just bring your luggage and your English Bible, and you will disciple the people who know English in that context, and they're the ones now going to use the local language to win their villages and families.
You're
for
setting
Jesus.
people up for success, non-dependency, setting them up for success, appreciating their value to lead, to transform.
Because
not
the
that savior
of God,
complex.
The family of God, from the very start,
Yes.
has to be self-supporting
Wow.
and sustainable. And so creating dependency is one of the worst sins of modern missions or the paradigm of missions that we have. And so you send out short-term teams to do the painting, that's okay, labor is okay, but not resources.
Well,
Sharing your talents, okay.
Yes.
Teaching them, okay. In fact, that's the best way. Passing on your wisdom to them for them to do it. But don't give them money to build houses or bring food for them to be fed. No community is actually poor. The fact that they still exist as a community means that they have resources to feed themselves, to raise their children, to become adults, even if they have no access to schools. It's all right. Their civilization has lasted for centuries without your help.
Missions Pulse. Know God's heart, join His mission. This podcast is powered by Within Reach Global. Subscribe, watch, and listen on YouTube today. Visit missionspulse.com.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed that video, leave a comment below. Tell me what you thought. Also, you might want to check out this video here. And honestly, that one's not bad either. Make sure you subscribe to Missions Pulse by clicking the subscribe button right here, and also click that little bell button so you get notified every single time we post a new video.